be very, very quiet. I'm hunting F-15s with my IRST. Gonna sneak up on one. Voila. And we go up into the clouds. It's SU-27 action, DCS 2.7 update with the clouds added. It is a beautiful sight for all pilots of the DCS World environment because clouds are absolutely gorgeous. I am a huge fan of the SU-27, and that's why you're looking at it from the front here. What I've done is I've done some testing to figure out just how well the clouds are modeled, or are they there just to help obscure enemies in visual combat. The reason for that is the SU-27 has something that a lot of fighters do not, especially in the Western world. A lot of them still don't have that, and that is the IRST pod. The IRST pod is an infrared search and track capability that is on the front of the SU-27s, the J-11s, and also the MIG-29s. It is available in the F-35, but the Russians were the first ones out with it back in the 80s on their planes, and it is very similar to an IR seeker on a Sidewinder missile, except it is tied into the cockpit and into the system and allows the pilot to detect enemy fighters at distances, in theory, up to 90 kilometers, so that's about 60 miles from the back. And that range increases if they turn on their afterburner. And the reason for that is IRST is infrared search and track, and what it does is it detects the afterburner or the engine heat from a plane. In theory, it can detect a plane coming towards you, or it can detect a plane flying away from you, or basically any heat source. So it does work better when you are looking against the clear sky rather than against the ground. And the other benefit to it is if you are flying your plane and you don't want to turn on your radar so that it doesn't show up on the Western NATO planes as an indicator of your position, you can go silent, sneak up on an enemy, and hopefully get close enough to get a lock with your IRST and launch your missile. So I've done some tests. The reason is the IRST OLS-27 design on the SU-27 has limitations. As you can imagine, anything that has to do with IR or heat will be obscured by clouds, and that is actually in the technical specifications. So what I've done here is I've locked onto an F-15 that is ahead of me, just an AI plane, all friendly, all same sides, and he is only about 6 kilometers away from me, so that's about 3 miles, 2.5 miles. Correct me if I'm wrong, I am pretty bad with the miles and such, because I am in a Canada, and in Canada we use kilometers. So the IRST, once it's turned on, does not give the opposing plane any indication that you're tracking it, and you can lock onto it using the vertical and horizontal scan within the SU-27 without even turning your radar. So that F-15 in theory is locked on, and I could fire an RE missile on it, but then the radar will turn on. But if I want to stay completely silent and get nice and close and fire an R-73 or a 27 TE missile, which will use the heat signature to track that plane. The IRST allows you to scan vertically, horizontally, and left to right. It has a fairly wide range of vision, and in theory, it could probably detect a plane up to 100 kilometers away, or so the Russian news and media says. The actual numbers are classified. Within DCS, that range I found out to be about 35 kilometers, so that's 20-ish miles. Now, it is an awesome feature, but even within the technical specifications that DCS should have followed with clouds being added, is that the plane at a greater range will have to have a higher heat source to be detected. But that's not taken into account, because whether a plane's flying with afterburner or not, it does make a difference. It's still detected at the same range. And also, clouds and atmospheric disruption, such as rain, will disrupt the IRST ability to lock on at greater ranges. So the range will decrease from, in theory, from 90 kilometers down to 20 kilometers in conditions of overcast, and within rain it will drop even further because that enemy plane heat signature is less detectable, right? Because you've got a whole bunch of atmospheric moisture between you and the plane. We've always known that, there's always humidity and there's always stuff in the atmosphere, so at higher altitudes where there's less atmospheric interference in the real world, the IRST will work better. So for this test, what I've done is I've put another flight of F-15s heading away from me, And so while I was chasing the one that was heading north, there's a group of them that's also heading south. And now I'm turning into a pursuit course onto them with my IRST on. They're set at 3 different altitudes. I believe the first one's at 500 meters, the second one is at 2,000, and the third one's at 3,000 meters. And I've done this test, but we'll go with this video and you'll see what the difference is. So first we have clear sky. Clouds are set to clear within DCS, and I'm in pursuit of the F-15s. So they're flying fairly close together, heading due south of me, and I've got my IRST on, cranking up the speed, going into afterburner here, and let's see if we can catch up to those F-15s and pick them up on our IRST. The nice thing about flying in simulated mode is that I can speed up time and catch up to them real quick. So let's see how far we are from them after catching up. We're at about 65 kilometers, still a long way to go. We're definitely outside of the range of IRST, and they're flying fairly close together. So let's catch up to them even closer and then see when we pick them up with clear skies. Still in hot pursuit, accelerating time, and let's catch up to these planes. I've zoomed in on the cockpit so you can see it a little bit better, and at a range of about 40 kilometers, I'm starting to check here to see how close we are, because I know that there is a magic number coming up, and this is from a series of tests that I've already performed, but I'm going to leave the magic number up to you, which we will see in just a second, as the SU-27 picks up our first bandit, and that is an F-15 who's shown up at the bottom right hand of our screen here on the HUD. I'm going to wiggle my mouse around here. Oh, sorry about that. But you see that the horizontal line near the bottom corner, and that is our first bandit. The range to that bandit is just around 35 kilometers. I'm just going to use the measuring tool and measure it out here, just so you can see for yourself the actual range to the bandit. It is just around 35 kilometers, and that is the standard range that I've been able to pick up an F-15 with an SU-27 IRST in all the tests I've tried. So at 35 kilometers, the bandit shows up, and I am tracking him with my IRST. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slew my targeting to it, right down to the bottom, and hit target lock, and now that bandit is locked. He is a bit off my screen. He is going away from me, and as you can see the little circle there on the right side of the HUD, that is the actual bandit location. I'm staying at about 2,000 meters, and yeah, there's our F-15. So in theory, once we get close enough and we have enough range, we could launch an R-27 ET at that bandit. And now I'm in pursuit on the bandit, trying to get him. But what I want to do now is I want to pick up the other bandits, and as you can see, another one has appeared on my screen. It's right in the center there, and there's another lock. Let's pause and take a look how far that guy is. So our next target should be around 35 kilometers as well. That's the magic number. So yeah, there we go, and we should be in range for almost all of them now. So as I pan across here and turn to the left, I'll be able to pick up the other bandits as well. But yeah, we've got a confirmed lock, so we're tracking that F-15, and unless the F-15 has an AWACS with him, he'll have no idea that we're on his 6. Total troublemakers that we are. And I'm going to slow down and brake, and I'm going to show you that as soon as they exit the 35 kilometer range, the bandits will also disappear from my IRST. So I'm braking, trying to cut back some speed, and just letting the F-15s have a chance to get out of my IRST range. Now IRST will track them for a bit and then it will blink out, or I can turn off the IRST and then see if I can pick them up again. Doing some terrible flying here, don't judge me. This is a non-scientific process. So I've lost target. I manually dropped the target myself as I pulled my nose too high, so it's out of range of my IRST targeting pod. And coming back on the target, still there, we're still within range. I didn't quite let them have enough distance to get away from me. Let's do a double check, see how far away they are. So right now, if we approximately measure from the center of my plane on the map to about 32 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got a few more kilometers still to go. We got pretty close to that guy. But we're gonna let them try to get away from us and see if we can lose our target. So I'm gonna disconnect the lock, so I have no lock on the target. He is still showing up on my IRST by that horizontal bar, but I've cut back my speed severely to allow the F-15 to pull away from me. The F-15 is on a standard course, just heading south, so I know where he's going because this is just a simulation, not a multiplayer battle. But this could work in multiplayer as well, of course, because any plane that generates heat, you'll be able to pick up. So as I'm slowing down and waiting for the F-15 to get away from me, it will actually disappear off of my HUD because it will be out of the range of the IRST once it crosses that magical 35.5 kilometer boundary within the simulator. And voila, the Bandit is gone off of IRST. So let's take a peek and see how far away that Bandit is. Still on course, nothing's blown up, all the planes are in the air, so it's not like it got shot down. There's no clouds, clear sky, looking good. And let's check the range to that F-15. So I was right hot on him, trying to chase him, and he's going cold on me, trying to get away from me. And the distance is, voila, we've just broken that 35.5 kilometer range. So in a clear environment, no clouds or light clouds per DCS 2.7, 35.5 kilometers is when the plane disappears. So let's jump across and put on some clouds and give it a go. All right, let's bring on the clouds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the mission editor and I'm going to modify our environment. So what I want to do is I want to bring in some clouds. I'm going to go from light and scattered to as overcast as I possibly can. Go overcast and rain 3 within DCS 27. I'm going to drop the ceiling so it's a little bit lower. And this is just to ensure that my planes, I don't need to move them up or down within their spawn positions. The enemies are going to be at the same altitude as in my first test, but I'm going to bring the clouds a little bit lower. I will tell you that it is brutally difficult to pilot any aircraft within clouds when you can't see where you're going. It's just a real pain. Alright, we're back in. The only thing that's really changed is the fact that my SU-27 now is in a whole bunch of rain and a whole bunch of overcast clouds. They are variable, so there are some gaps between the clouds, but as you can see, it's not the most beautiful visible environment anymore, and I really have to rely on my sensors. So after I'm done panning around and showing you that the F-15 is still at 12 o'clock heading north for me, and that's our first test target, I'm going to hide the labels so that I'm not cheating, but that F-15 is definitely in some rain. All the other ones are passing through in and out of clouds, but the one that's on my 12 o'clock is in the clouds. I've got him locked up, and let's just see here. He'll appear on my scopes, and I'll be able to just get a quick beat on him. So there he is, right at the top, and we've got lock. And this is our first Bandit heading north. And even though he's in the clouds, I'm not in the clouds. I do have a stable lock, and he is fairly close by. So I'm on his 6, just following him, and as you can see, he is definitely in clouds. Let's measure our distances, and this is our first target, really close, just like in the beginning. 12, 13, 14 kilometers away, very close. I mean, piece of cake. IRST does not care how far away the target is, as long as it's under 35 kilometers. The other bandits are heading south, so we're going to turn around and track those in just a second. But just to give you an idea, lock was easy to achieve, and we're going to break away from that F-15, give ourselves some gaps, and turn to the south and track the 3 bandits who are flying the exact same altitude, same formation, except now we've added heavy clouds within DCS 27. No doubt about it, the clouds in DCS Beta 27 are absolutely gorgeous, absolutely amazing. The lighting effects from those clouds on the ground below is incredible. It is a pain to fly if you're not familiar with flying with instruments only, because I am not. So if you get lost in the cloud and you're not watching your instruments, you could end up hitting the ground or hitting a mountain very easily. So be really careful. But as you can see, it is a fairly steady cloud formation. The 3 F-15s that I'm chasing are in a storm cloud right now. I'm just about to enter one, but these guys are definitely locked right inside of a cloud system, and I'm just coming up onto a cloud myself. They are fairly far away, but I'm catching up quick, and we should have a lock on them in just a few seconds. But again, as you can see, the whole point here that I'm trying to show is that even with the clouds enabled, It is a visual cosmetic obstruction, but unfortunately it is not a correct simulation of the IRST limitations. Now, and the reason for that is, even in the technical manuals of the SU-27, SU-30 that have been released and that have been marketed, IRST does have limitations when it comes to being in clouds or adverse weather, because, well, you can't really see something that is obstructed by a bunch of cold rain or by clouds, because clouds are basically water, so that will scatter and deflect the ability of the IRST system to actually pick up a target. So we're about to enter this cloud, and I think at this point is when we're going to spot our bandits that I have been chasing this whole time. I'm staying at about 1,400 meters. I think I was about 2,000. Oh, and there's our bandit. Just showed up on our IRST. Again, no radar, just using thermal detection. And let's see how far away that F-15 is. Get closer on the map, and let's go scientific rule measuring capability here. There we go, 35 kilometers, just as expected, and IRST has picked it up. The other bandits, of course, are just a little bit further away, but as you can see, whether we have clouds or not, at 35 kilometers, our bandit shows up on the OLS-27 on the SU-27, and I'm guessing if it's modeled identically, it's going to show up exactly the same way on a MiG-29 or any other plane that has a Russian IRST system. As you can see, my plane right now is in the clouds, and I am tracking the bandit. The F-15 is also in the clouds and in the rain, but I do have lock-ins. You can see all three of them are in clouds and in rain, but I have stable lock, and in theory, if I'm close enough, I could launch. Let's do another check here, and yep, there it is. Reappears again. I unlocked, and our target is back on the screen. So as you can see, it doesn't matter if you're in the cloud, outside the cloud. If the bandit is in the cloud or outside the cloud, the IRST system is not affected by the clouds within DCS. So make sure you don't crash into mountains or into the ground or lose visual track of your opponents when you're flying in DCS. But clouds are no match for the super amazing Russian IRST system. In DCS only. In real world, they are a match, and they would prevent it from detecting planes at a distance that's identical to a clear day. But there you have it. Here's some more shots of some F-15s in the rain, looking absolutely gorgeous. Again, kudos and thumbs up to DCS and Eagle Dynamics for putting out an amazing game that looks even better now with Open Beta 2.7. Go download it and install it and try it. You can do it for free from DCS World. Go play multiplayer. I play on Growling Sidewinder. They are amazing, great community, and if you're just starting out with multiplayer, don't be frustrated if you get killed a lot, because it takes a while to get used to it. Oh, and guess what? Check it out. Here's the other bandits. They've showed up on the screen, and now we can see the other bandits as well. They're inside of a cloud system. I'm outside of that cloud system, but there's the other two. Let's check the range to those ones as well. This guy is just outside of a cloud, so he's gone through the cloud, and we're still picking him up on the other side of the cloud. And his partner, let's take a look at him. He is in a cloud formation, so that makes no difference whatsoever. And we can lock him up, and if we're close enough, we can launch. There you have it. Hopefully you like this video. Give it a like, give it a share, give it a thumbs up, etc. And have a safe flying atmosphere around you with clouds or no clouds at all.